As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the weekend?
I thought it was a nice little Sunday late afternoon playoff in the PGA St. Jude Championship. Zalatoris over said Straka. Somehow earlier in the round, that ball dancing on the rocks and not going in the water for Zalatoris is the luckiest thing. That would never happen for me. But awesome to watch. I love playoff golf. I think it's really cool whenever you get into playoff. Every shot is watch those guys grind over every one of them. It's cool.
How about Zalatoris' celebration? What'd you think of it? Right? It was one of those. What did he say? He was like, "What are they going to say now?" I loved it because everyone always is on him, especially about the putting. Right. And
Right.
for him to drain that in that moment, like I loved that celebration. Now, full disclosure, it doesn't quite hit the same when it's a golfer for whatever reason. And let's just be real. Salatoris is incredible. He would destroy both of us on a golf course. He's not a very intimidating guy though. Like, let's be real, but I loved the fire he had after he won. Like that. I was fired up watching him be so fired up.
It's great. It's awesome. It seemed like yesterday he looked like a 15-year-old kid out there. Still doesn't look all that old, but you're right. It reminds you of was it Pete Weber, the bowlers, like, who do you think you are? I am.
That's exactly, yes. It had some serious Pete Weber energy.
It's like, hey, hang on a second. Nobody. It's not the world against Pete Weber or the world against Zalatoris. But hey, you got to find your motivation out there. Was a nice little playoff. That was a cool event and had a nice finish to it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, who do you have as your loser of the weekend?
I had to go with Texas, losing a couple of guys out there. Lost the wide receiver Neyor and one of their starting offensive linemen that's got a couple of years experience. Already really light with experience on the offensive line, and to drop another guy off of that group, it's going to be tough for Texas. I hate to see this, and I know there's people that's like, oh, Texas, injuries, whatever. Where's the next excuse? I always want to see teams at their full strength, right? That's what you want in this sport, is to see what everyone has to offer, your best against our best. So I was a little frustrated to see that.
Yeah, and it's if you're an OU fan and you're kind of taking I don't know, it's like basking in that. Don't do that. Like you don't want these kids to get hurt.
Right.
That's not what you want. And especially, they had the Ajay Hall issue over the late last week and through the
Right.
weekend as well. Him suspended, and you just hope that young man gets on the right track, right? He had the issues at Bama, now he's got the issues at Texas, but yeah. And not only was it Neyor and Junior Angilau, who I think is their best offensive lineman. I went back and looked at my notes because when I saw that it was him, I was like, damn, he was the guy that I liked the most off their offensive line last year because I felt like I knew what I was going to get from him, and I knew I was going to get physicality, right, and strength. And
Is he left guard?
yeah, he bounced around. He can play all three of the interior, but yeah, he's a guard. Yeah, and he's one of those guys that I did think was kind of a tone setter for them, and probably, if I had to guess, is the leader in that room because Majors, the center's not very old. You've got
True
you got
freshman
Jones
left tackle. Like they think they're going to end up starting, right? I mean,
yeah, they got some really young guys. So this was a guy that I thought was their most experienced and best lineman, and that's a big loss. And then I guess Roshan Johnson got banged up too, who I think is a really, really good RB2 for them and really brings a ton of leadership to that team. So, yeah, man, a rough weekend for the Texas Longhorns.
it
Damn.
also, and I don't know like what you can take from it, but it sounds like all the rumors coming out of like the Texas message boards and everything is that Hudson Card's the better player so far, which isn't shocking because the other kid has zero experience. So,
Yeah, and zero experience in the offense.
right, Right. So yeah, that it's not that big of a shock to hear that, especially early on in camp, but noteworthy nonetheless.
Yeah. Rough weekend for Steve Sarkisian. So that'll be certainly be something we're monitoring, looking moving forward. All right, let's get to my winner and loser. But first,
First Fidelity Bank is a full service financial institution based in Oklahoma with a tailored solution for all your personal and business needs. Checking accounts, saving accounts, home loans, and much more. They do it all, whether it's online banking from your computer or mobile banking from your phone. Everything is stress free with FFB. Making mobile deposits, paying bills online, and moving money to different accounts could not be easier. First Fidelity Bank provides free ATMs worldwide, making banking convenient wherever you are. They also give back to the community. FFB donates a total of more than $500,000 to local charities and educational foundations. Make your life easier and go bank with First Fidelity Bank. Visit ffb.com for more information.
and if you're a whiskey or bourbon drinker, stop what you're doing. Head to your favorite liquor store and buy some Balcones products. You got to grab some of Balcones Lineage Single Malt Whiskey. It was just voted one of the top 20 whiskeys in the world by Whiskey Advocate, and you'll be shocked by how affordable it is. You got to snag some of Balcones Baby Blue Corn Whiskey.
It's made from blue corn. That's the fancy corn.
And that is why it has won more than 25 awards. Last but certainly not least, you got to buy some of Balcones Pot Still Bourbon. Its big flavors make it the perfect bourbon to drink year round. Remember, in 2012, Balcones Single Malt won the best in class competition, beating brands like Johnny Walker and Macallan. This stuff is the real deal, people. If you love great whiskey and bourbon at a great price, then Balcones products are the only way to go. The whiskey may be made in Texas, but the owners, they're from Oklahoma. To find a liquor store that has it, visit balconesdistilling.com. All right, for my winner of the weekend, thought about going with sports gamblers. Ted, do you see what Greg Sankey said about March Madness?
I did. It's fascinating. Hadn't he said previously that he was wanted to get rid of the automatic bids or something?
Oh, I think he basically wants more teams from the Power Five making it.
Right.
So his comments have been interpreted basically him saying, hey, let's expand the field and let's make more TV money. And if there are more games to gamble on for sports gamblers.
Right.
And people tend to love gambling on March Madness. So that was something that caught a lot of people's attention over the weekend.
Yeah. I'm for it. Expand it. I've got no problem with that. I think one of the things that they should do, though, my only beef with the March Madness is I think it lasts too long, and you have this huge groundswell of people watching the first weekend, and then it all steadily fades after that. I think they should pack it into a more confined time to keep all the fans engaged in it. But that's just me.
So you and Greg Sankey differ. He wants to have 96 teams in and play way more games, and I assume it would stretch out a little longer.
Spring Madness, no more March Madness. It happens all spring.
Yeah, the final the championship game's already played in April. So, right. But my winner of the weekend, Mark Stoops, man, standing up for his program. I loved it. So if you missed it, John Calipari, the basketball coach at Kentucky, he was quoted in an article by The Athletic saying, quote, "This is a basketball school. No disrespect to our football team. I hope they win 10 games and go to bowls, but this is a basketball school." Well, even though Cal said no offense, Mark Stoops was offended, Ted, and he let him know about it. And I really had no problem with it. I mean, fires back on Twitter and said, quote, "Basketball school? I thought we compete in the SEC. Hashtag 4 straight postseason wins," which, by the way, is just, that's one hell of a hashtag for Mark Stoops to just throw out there. That's pretty good. But there's some drama between Kentucky's football coach and Kentucky's basketball coach. We don't see this every day, man.
No. I don't know where this is coming from. It seems strange. And Calipari said something recently too that I thought was weird. he put a tweet out there about who were they going to play, Gonzaga or something, and he was complaining about how small their arena was and didn't want to play them. I don't know. There's been some weird stuff coming from Calipari recently. That seems like a weird way.
Yeah, the
to
whole
try and
thing.
get something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the whole thing is like the football program got greenlit for for some big time upgrades, and Calipari he wants a new practice facility, and I don't know why he thought belittling the football program was the way to get that, but it's kind of the approach he took, and Mark Stoops was not having it, man. And Mark Stoops didn't apologize. He addressed the media on Saturday about it, and he was kind of like, hey, I stay in my lane, but I'm defending my players and defending the work we put in. And I love this quote he had. Don't demean or distract from the hard work and the dedication and the commitment that people have done to get to this point. I don't need to apologize for that, and I won't.
that's right. Yep, that's right. And basketball, college basketball is great and all. And Kentucky's had a really nice run of it. They've done some really good things, but the football program puts food on the table, whether you want to believe that or not. Even at Kentucky.
I was trying to think of, okay, what are legitimate like basketball schools? And there are a couple that are still in the Big East, like where they don't have FBS football, right? Like Villanova.
Right.
But when you talk about the Power Five, every school is a football school, even Kansas. Like, or maybe you'd have to take a closer look at Kansas's financials. Well, maybe that's not true, but
they get that $40 million Big 12 payout because of football. That's where that comes from.
Yeah, and it's the same with Kentucky.
It's a piece of the pie, but those big, massive contracts, that's coming from football.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty hilarious, and Cal put out a tweet that basically said, "Hey, my bad. I've supported Mark and the football team through good and bad. I will continue to support them and cheer them on, but we know how he really feels. We don't. That's damage control. We know how he really feels."
Yep. And whenever you have to put that tweet out there, that's just that stings, right?
I bet Mark Stoops is more dedicated than ever because people love football in Kentucky, and couple 10-win seasons. They're
going to be good this year too.
If Calipari doesn't get it together, they may be looking like they may be a football school.
That's right.
So we'll see. All right, for my loser of the weekend, I thought about going with Fernando Tatis Jr. Suspended 80 games for testing positive for clostebol. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it said he took a medication for ringworm that resulted him in testing positive for that banned substance. Not even going to appeal it. His Padre teammates were pretty critical of him. It was just seems like a disaster of a situation.
Yeah, there's some interesting quotes coming out of that. I guess the idea around there is he needs to grow up and needs to really quickly.
Yeah. And they're giving him what? 300 and was it like $60 million or something?
He's a hell of a player. You cannot doubt that. He is a hell of a player, and he's entertaining to watch, man. He's a lot of fun to watch play baseball. So that's got to be super frustrating for them because he was just about to work back in, right? This was going to be his first time bouncing back. So
yeah, I thought we were going to get to see him and Juan Soto and all that. And nope, 80 games. Whew.
It's a lot.
That's
for ringworm medication. Really? Come on.
I mean, I'm not gonna believe that, but I mean, it is what it is.
Well, whatever it is, it's costing him a ton of money. I don't know what his yearly payout works out to, but losing half of it is going to be brutal.
Should have just let the ringworm ride.
Use some Dial soap, you'll be okay.
Yeah. All right, but my loser of the weekend, Zach Wilson and the New York Jets. when you think about a worst case scenario going into a preseason game, it is your quarterback out running in the open field and then crumbling as he changes directions
Oh,
with a
brutal.
non-contact knee injury. Now, luckily, it sounds like he's just going to have to get scoped, maybe out 2 to 4 weeks. It's just a meniscus, right? With the injury that he suffered against the Eagles. But we all thought ACL when it happened. It's never good when it's non-contact like that. But Robert Saleh, interesting quote from him about it where he said, we're optimistic, but he's not out of the woods until they get in there and make the decision. So I'm not sure if they didn't get a great read on the MRI. And if the surgeons open that knee up and take a look and they realize maybe there is a little more damage than just that meniscus, all of a sudden, I mean, Zach Wilson, I'm not saying he's going to miss the season or anything, but and this could be even more serious than they think. Like the early reaction was, "Oh, thank goodness he didn't tear his ACL." But then I saw that quote from Saleh, and I was like, that doesn't sound good."
Yeah. Yeah. I guess you never know. And man, that would be brutal for them if that happened, and brutal for Zach Wilson, because it looks like from everything you read and hear that he was really starting to turn some heads, and some guys were really starting to believe in him as a young quarterback. So I don't know. Hopefully, good news. What is it? 4 weeks? Is that what they said? Possibly 2 to 4.
That's what they
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in just a few days, you lose Mekhi Becton and you lose Zach Wilson. I wonder if the Jets feel like they're cursed right now.
I don't know. The answer to that is probably a screaming yes. That's not good. It's not good.
But
It's
hey, 37-year-old
good.
Joe Flacco taking over, baby. Nothing to worry about.
I'm interested to see what Flacco's still got. See if he can still rip that ball down the field. I know he could barely move as a 25-year-old. I'm interested to see how he moves as a 37-year-old.
It'll be interesting, I'm sure. But yeah, they signed Dwayne Brown, so we'll see if Dwayne Brown can also, play at a high level. He's getting up there as well. But listen, Jets haven't been to the playoffs since 2010. And for this stuff to be happening in the preseason, that fan base, they got to be in a bad place, man. Just a bad place.
Frustrating.
Yeah.